Well, hey, tribe of names. I'm Karl and I'm awful glad to see you. I like to talk about guitars way too much. Hopefully you like to talk about guitars too because they're awesome. Wait, what? Why is he wearing a different shirt? What happened? I don't know. Who is this guy? This guy is Karl Eisenhardt. I'm a guitar player in Tribe of Names, along with another band called Pinnacle and another band called Red. Over the last 25 years, I've been a professional musician, a part-time musician. I've been a music store employee. I've been a sound guy. I've been a recording engineer. I have given lessons. I've been a guitar tech for Nearfest and for the Prague Stock Festival. So I keep plenty busy. Somewhere in there, I play in a bunch of bands, and I also am a school teacher and teach guitar at school. So that's what I am, and these are the things that I think about. I thought today we'd dig into some of the modifications that I've done on some of my guitars and the reasoning behind all of that. For years, I didn't even think about modding a guitar, which is completely insane to me now in hindsight because my favorite guitarist's guitar looked like this. But I thought that you just bought a guitar and you played it, and if it wasn't right for you, you sold it and bought a different one. And maybe there wasn't a right guitar for you, and then you just didn't have the right guitar. A friend of mine showed me the error of my ways in about 1998, after sort of suffering through my full-time career as a guitarist, wishing for different things and not having them. He sort of looked at me and said, well, why don't you just change it on the guitar? And I had literally never thought about that. Maybe it was just a gap in my attention. I don't know. But from that point forward, the gloves were off. And I got really into making changes to guitars to make them suit me a lot more personally. That's everything from changing pickups to changing different strings. Have more of an effect than a lot of people think. Different brands of strings, different gauges of strings, changing necks, location of controls on the guitar. That's been a huge one for me. People accept that wherever the knobs and switches are on their guitar are there for a reason, but maybe that's not the best place for you. So we're going to look a little bit at why I started making some of those changes and why you can do it. So we're going to take a look at an acoustic and a whole bunch of electrics, and I'll explain to you some of the nifty things that I've done to make them more suited to my playing. And hey, before we get going, why don't you hit that subscribe button? That'd be great. You don't have to hit the like button yet. Why don't you watch the video and see if it's any good? Then hit the like button. First up on our trip through the modded guitars is this super sweet 2005 Taylor 814 CE. I think it was either the first or second year they used the expression system. I bought this while I was working at the music store, and I tried out a whole bunch of guitars, a room full of guitars, before I finally selected this one. And it's been the best acoustic I've ever owned by a mile. Unfortunately for it, that means I play it an awful lot. I have an acoustic group called Red, and we used to play quite a number of gigs, and we will again after this whole mess is over. That meant that the frets on this thing got worn flat up to about the 9th fret. I knew I had to do something, and I ran into Wayne Bolt, who made Bolt guitars back in the 80s. He told me about frets called Jescar frets, a notch softer than stainless steel, but way, way harder than nickel, and way less expensive than stainless steel. I'm a big fan of that too. So I had him put those on. The coolest thing about them from that side of the guitar is that they are gold colored so that they match the gold hardware on the guitars. I also selected a much taller fret because there's much less resistance between the string and the fret. I can get more of a vibrato out of the guitar. I can play a lot lighter, which is something I need to work on all the time in my playing. The only other thing that I've done to this guitar was change out the bridge pins for power pins. this is where I should be getting endorsement money from somebody. I don't know. They replace the regular push-in pins on your bridge. They bolt in, and then the string mounts from the top, and it pulls straight across. What that does is it decreases the string tension a little bit and helps your sustain a little bit. Makes the guitar easier to string, which I love. They claim that it lowers the action on the guitar. I didn't find that, and I don't see how it could possibly, but that's what they say. So that is what I've done to this guitar. Obviously, when we changed the frets, we had to redo the nut and the bridge to raise them up to clear the frets. But those are just kind of incidental changes. Moving on. Okay, while the Taylor acoustic was a pretty tame mod and pretty understandable, if there's a guitar that I own that's going to get me thrown into guitar jail, it's probably this one. Right place at the right time, I managed to pick up this Ball Family Reserve Steve Lukather signature with the solid rosewood neck a few years ago for incredibly cheap. So cheap. Why? Because it has a bad paint job from the factory. If you look, you can see the paint is flaking off here, and it's flaking off around the switch. That killed the resale value of the thing so much that it was just hanging there in the store, and they just wanted to get rid of it, so they sold it to me. The rosewood neck has got kind of a shallow V to it. It's just super comfortable guitar to play. It had the Steve Lukather EMG set in it for pickups, which I didn't like. Plain and simple, didn't like them. So I started thinking about, well, what can I do to change that? No, it's blasphemy. You can't change the thing. Sure I can. Steve Lukather would do it. I'm doing it. The pickup holes were small, so I had to open them up a little bit to get new pickups in. What I did is got a Dimarzio transition, which is the Steve Lukather signature Dimarzio in the bridge. This is a Dimarzio Tone Zone S. And then this is a silver logo lace sensor, which is my favorite single coil pickup. That's a personality quirk of mine. I know people hate them. I understand why people hate them. That's exactly why I love them. When I put this thing together, originally it had the tone zone in the neck, and it was spectacularly muddy. It was unusable. But I know that if you move the pickup back, it brightens up. So I switched, put the lace sensor in the neck, put the tone zone in the middle, and that gave me two really usable sounds. So I've got him in the bridge. It's got a pretty snappy bridge humbucker sound. And I wanted to get that neck humbucker sound, but with the single coil there, it wasn't really what I wanted particularly. It's a great sound, but not what I was always looking for. So here's what I did. This was just a couple weeks ago. I have now unsoldered the pickups from the switch and switched them. So when you go all the way back here on the bridge pickup, position 2 is the bridge pickup and the neck pickup. Position 3 is the neck pickup. The neck pickup. Position 4 is the neck in the middle like you'd expect. And position 5 is what's now essentially the middle pickup. But it gives me that neck humbucker sound. It's a little brighter than you might expect, but still pretty usable. So that was the major change that I've done to that. So this one almost got skipped over for this video, but I was looking at it, and really it's very important in my guitar modding journey. This guitar has been a major factor. I got this guitar for free. It had been in a fire, and the guy was throwing it away. So it's a 1983 Squire Stratocaster. I've had it for about 20 years and it still smells like smoke, which is kind of cool, unless it's given me some sort of awful disease, which would be super uncool. When I got it, the pick guard was melted, pickups didn't, none of the electronics worked. The tuners were the original Squire tuners, which were awful. So I went bananas on the thing, put Fender locking tuners on it, and just got a regular black pickguard. Got the pickups from an HSS American Deluxe Strat. So it's a Fender DH1 and then 2 hot noiseless single coils. The way I got those was somebody needed new pickups in their guitar. I did the soldering. They gave me the old pickups. Can't beat that. I have the cost of the tuners, and then I put the Graphtech saddles on it because the original vintage saddles just chewed through strings like crazy. So I put the Graphtech saddles on it. Other than that, I don't have one dime into this guitar, and this became the guitar that I would use if I had a gig someplace and didn't really know what the situation was going to be like. I didn't want to have anything happen to any of my good guitars, so I had this guy. And I always thought, oh, it'll just be a write-off if something happens to it. Great, I'll walk away. I've grown very attached to it. Now, if anything happened to it, I would be extremely upset. Another important thing on this guitar, though, if you look, hey, it's a Strat with only 2 knobs, and there's a penny glued to the underside of the pickguard to keep the dust out of the control cavity. The reason for that is that the way I play, where my right hand is, I tend to hit the volume knob on a Stratocaster and continually turn myself down while I'm playing. Wow, that's frustrating. So what I did is I've wired it to just 1 volume control and 1 tone control. But I think that is a very important mod. For some people may have the same problem. This is a very easy thing to pull off. Something to consider. I have so many things to talk about that this is actually going to end up being 2 whole videos. What you should do is subscribe and hit the little bell thing, and you'll be among the first people to know when the next one comes out, which will be pretty soon. So, hope to see you again soon. We'll have some more fun talking about guitars.